All right. If you guys can hear me, just drop in a quick hello in the chat. Chat should be open for everyone. All right, there we go. Just give me one quick second to set it up. And I see many people joining in, so just allowing them in. All right. All right, I'm all set. I just want to give another minute. I'm super excited to be here sharing this firsthand with you guys. Hey, Kari from Finland. I see Raminder saying excited. So am I. Hello, hello. All right. So we get started. Um, and I want to show, well, it's actually three parts to it. One is writing new content. Second is optimizing. And the third is strategizing internal links automatically. The internal link automation, we couldn't fit it into this webinar. So we are going to do an extended webinar on Thursday, which will cover the internal linking. But we will cover all the enhancements other than that, other than strategist on this call and strategist on Thursday. So it's a significant improvements that we've made across the platform, and you will see some design changes, mainly in optimization. We've added a few more parameters to it and things of that nature and tons of automation. So I want to share where Outranking is going and how things are going to proceed for us in future is not just about writing. Like writing is not going to be a currency. It's very easy now. Being doing AI writing for such a long time and passing it on to the writers and then having it published on our website, we've learned so much things, so many things, right? And with Google algorithm constant updates, if you are paying close attention, you'd understand that it's so easy to differentiate what's crap versus what's great. And you will see some of this reflections in how we proceed with the product, because we're all about quality. If you spend 15 minutes and your content doesn't rank, that's 15 minutes lost. But if you spend 3 hours, 4 hours writing great content, doing the research and putting things together, then you have a higher chance of ranking and you have greater ROI. It's not the quantity of content that you keep publishing every day. It's also quality and the right balance around it, right? So with that in mind, you just can't be generating a draft after draft after draft, publishing it on your website and seeing what sticks, right? Google can easily recognize this and not index your decide not to index your page. Or worse, if you publish too much of crap content, it'll stop ranking some of your existing content as well. We've noticed that as well. So keeping all of these things in mind, let's get started with Outranking's enhancements. All right. So the first thing I'm going to cover is the ease of using the platform when you're writing the content as well as you're optimizing it, right? So keeping that in mind, we've made some small changes everywhere, UI wise, that will allow you to do a lot more than what you used to do before, or at least not jumping tons and tons of hoop to find out information, right? So we've reduced that even further and easily see which keywords are missing out of your title, how long your title is with the length over here, and you can pick one. We've opened up the aperture for 10 pages over here instead of 5, so you have a comprehensive idea. Sometimes many of these pages lie in the bottom of the first page, and to have a good idea about what the intent looks like, this is a great way. The tone and everything else, you can figure that out when you're writing, and we'll show some of the capabilities over there as well. Okay, when it comes to outline, it's great. You have exactly the green and reds of keywords. You know exactly what's missing out of your outline. And as you scroll down, you will notice some of these pages have red keywords to it. So let's see if there is anything that would suggest that we're missing something out of the content. So it pretty much covered everything, but the keywords that are coming over here are coming from stuff that other people are ranking for without using it properly. So this is a great example of things that you can include in your content that even if you don't rank for the primary keyword, you'd rank for additional terms, right? So this data is super enhanced, and the headings that are generated now are generated cohesive in nature. So before, what happened was we generate H3 and then we generate internal H3. We'll generate H2 and then we'll generate internal H3s. That kept the outline not that cohesive, right? Like sometimes they did not know what was already mentioned in H3, and hence it had repeated sections. So in order to get that quality in with the keywords in and the right understanding of served data, now some of the LLMs are more advanced. So we're using GPT-4 to do this even further and beyond by gathering the data upfront and then passing it on as a cohesive structure, and passing it in a way that it builds a cohesive outline and not repeated concepts or having to do too much of vetting. So you'll see this outline is purely generated out of AI and not done any editing to it. And you can see that it matches the scores. It has covered a majority of the keywords that I needed to, and there is no red keyword, but red keywords over here. So if there's something that you're missing, then it will be highlighted red over here. That gives you additional ideas to, okay, I'm missing this and I might want to add this to it. Okay. All right, I'm just repositioning some of my windows here. Okay, all right. Let's get next and the writing tools. This is the most exciting part for me because this reduces so much of burden of understanding how to write quality drafts. And I will show this. We'll generate a draft and see what really happens for an outline, which is a 42 headings, right? And before, the default style guide would pick up the tone, but it would not allow you to customize your personality into it. So you had to create custom ones, right? Now you don't need to do that. You can create custom ones and they'll be even better. You can have some repeated process around custom built style guides, but this is much more easier. You can pick a style guide and the tone, the voice, and some additional parameters that you can adjust. So how long or short you want, maybe depending on a client that you're working with, depending on the type of content you want to work with, you want to adjust some of these parameters to strictly follows those guidelines, you can do this. And it follows the guidelines very, very, very well. So I'll show you, this is our default style guide. We'll change this to, funny, and we're writing about B2B copywriting. So we'll see what the outcome looks like, right? And I've said that, use informative with the use of ordered and unordered list wherever it makes sense. And then in additional details, I've included placeholders for ideas of screenshot, quotes, statistics, or case studies, examples, etc., to be included into some of these content pieces as it writes it. And you will see what happens, right? When it really writes this, you're going to have a fun time just adding some additional information based on the research that you find. So we'll look at that. So now what's different than what we were doing before is the engine behind this. So before, you all know that we used to build one section at a time. Now what that means is when I write one section, I have no idea of what happened before or what's going to happen after. And this is a limitation of LLMs, right? Because even though it allows 8,000 token in a ChatGPT-4, 8,000 tokens is still not enough. If you'd really run this on ChatGPT, you'd understand 8,000 tokens is still not enough when you want to parse so much of research into it so that it stays on track. It writes exactly how you want. It uses the tone that you want and all of that together. So in this enhancement, and specifically with the first draft, what it's doing is not only it's pulling the research and writing each of these sections, but it's writing it in continuous manner. So what happens is that your draft is cohesive, it aligns, it can reference it back and forth. And obviously, right, like to a certain extent, and there's certainly going to be some limitations when you're writing like 10,000 or 20,000 words of an article, right? Like you can expect it to follow throughout, right? Like that might not happen. But for 99% of the use cases, it can reference back the entire article as well as use research at the same time and use your style guide to write this information. So the result, drafts extremely, extremely beautiful. Let's go ahead and generate a first draft. And as it starts writing sections, we'll go through and look at some of the utilities. I just want to wait a couple of things here. And you can see that the way it writes, it's going to be exactly how we wanted it in the tone, right? You can extend that tone and add more personality to it, right? Use anecdotes, use a certain word every few sentences, just name it. Creativity is endless to this. And you can build this out as you go. Insert appealing images of B2B copywriting content here. Insert cool Bond-like image here. So it's even, so because we are trying to be funny, right? And you notice that the quality of great content is engagement on that particular page. So even if you write with AI, your site is very authoritative. You have tons of backlinks going. So you have high trust factor built already onto your site. And you're writing tons of AI content now that gets tons and tons of bounce, tons and tons of what do you call it? Shorter page on time, right? So what happens is that your content starts reducing in rank, and then slowly, gradually, it disappears. Or there's obvious signals that you've written tons of content with AI and not much of effort to it, and it goes away. But including this cool things, this funny, this informative, the statistics, right? Insert humor, star word reference, like any of those things. Like, I'm just not limiting yourself to one, but showing quality information and linking out to quality information outside of your site can certainly help you rank better. Focus on the reader, right? Like, so it's going to keep going, and you'll see that it's about 7,000. So we'll see how many words it writes for 42. But you can greatly control this as you are building out your draft. And it's like, I kid you not, I cannot wait for you to try this because it does this very beautifully. Okay, let's look at our, it's still writing the AI draft, and I really want it to finish. So we are going to let it finish while we wander around in publish. I'm going to show optimization the last because that part falls into optimizing existing content as well. One of the great features that we've added here is publish. And well, there's some slight errors over here, but doesn't matter. You should be able to connect your website using the plugin that we have, and the updated plugin will be available as well. So you can directly push and publish the content from here. And we'll obviously improve this and add more CMSs as we go for people who are working with some other CMSs than WordPress. This is one of our big enhancements, and this trickles into Strategist as well for improving internal linkings. Okay, all right. Well, the draft is still generating, I believe. Yes, it is. Okay, all right. So because I navigated away, it stopped. And it generated so many sections over here. All right, so this is great. It started generating the draft. Now you can start editing it and stuff of that nature here. Just let me refresh here. It stopped. It's still generating the draft. Okay, all right. You can start editing your content now here, and then jump to optimize. Now, optimize, when you go to optimize, you're still optimizing an existing page, and the process is still pretty much the same, right? Like, you're still looking at everything that's missing into your content and then adjusting it in your content. So let's switch to the next screen where I can show you a brand new optimization, and this is very, very cool. All right. Okay. So this is the new optimization screen, and this is your summary page. We've added readability, and as we've watched AI evolve and some of the pages drop in ranking, also how so the Google search engine experience, as it rolls out, how are terms being picked from other websites, right? And what we've noticed is high readability in content. AI generated content is great, but again, you will notice long sentences, not very coherent, right? Like, these are some of the problems that will happen, right? It's just impossible to mitigate all of these issues together. So The content that comes out of from AI, at least in form of long form, where you've written so much of information, it's difficult to keep it on track in terms of currency, in terms of maintaining that sentence structures and things like of that nature, right? So it will write often some complex words. It will write longer sentences. It will write words which could be written simpler or could have better synonyms to it, right? And all of these things are possible, and Google is catching up onto this, right? Like, so if your content has high readability, it's more likely to rank. We've noticed this in over 1,000 SERPs that the top 10 pages have a very high readability score compared to the other, at least 5 or 6 points higher than the pages which are ranking in second and third page. So what you want to improve is your readability score as well with this release, and it's factored in your score. So if some of your pages have dropped in ranking, I would suggest go back, refresh the content here, and check if you have some of these issues that are mentioned over here. Originality, big deal, which is uniqueness, which we talked about in earlier. We've enhanced the logic around over here and make sure that you're following what other pages are doing, but doing it better, right? So originality, it plays a big role here. It's got a little bit uplift, and then you can narrow down into all the other aspects of your web page and kind of figure out whether you have domain authority, page authority, things of that nature. I've manually added outranking over here so I can show you some of the automation that we built in. Okay. This is great. Like, it's a great overview of what's happening with your content, what you can improve with the red arrows that you see over here. Certainly some areas which you might want to improve. Okay, let's look at all of these, and then we'll go to auto optimize. Title, same thing. You can generate improvement suggestions over here if you want to do a one by one. So people who are prone on doing all the improvements that they want to do manually, you're okay. You can adjust all of these things into your content and go from there. But if you want to do some optimization using AI, you can generate some ideas from here that you can implement right away. So, there we go. And it's can you start seeing some blinks like this everywhere, wherever it puts the content. So you should be able to optimize pretty much any of the elements you have in terms of AI suggestions that you can accept or decline. Okay, you'd see target keywords over here. Everything is, and if you'd like to see some titles from ranking pages, you can click. You can click on see titles from ranking pages. This format is followed throughout all the optimization tasks, so it's easier to follow. You're not having to learn all of the screens again and again. Let's go to description. Same thing. You can do improvements in your description by clicking this and clicking accept. What's the best part about description now is that it's not only understanding the context of your title or a few of your outlines that you created, but it's getting a gist of important sentences from your content and building out this incredible descriptions that even if you rolled it out as a OG description, right, for social media, they would look extremely well. So it's optimized for that as well. So you get higher CTR on that. Okay, let's go next. All right. So see headings from ranking pages, number of headings. And you can see my score has started to climb as I'm accepting some of the suggestions, right? So you don't need to do like one click, it'll keep updating every few seconds. All right. See number of headings, right? So now you see that the target headings have been 31 to 43. And I'll show you what this really means in auto optimize, because even that part is very extensive. But essentially, you want to find new ideas, or you want to find ideas that you're missing out in your content that you should include, which will improve your score. And this does this automatically. It'll take a few seconds. It's still using the slower versions of GPT. But while it's doing it, let's go down and start checking some of this things. Okay, so now we come to keywords in heading. While this is generating, we'll just go and look at some of these other things. Keywords in heading, and you can start seeing which ones you are missing. So we've added clearly red or green. You shouldn't be guessing anymore. Red are the things that you clearly not mentioned and you might want to mention, right? So I've not talked about Active Campaign at all, which is one of the CRM tools. I might want to talk about it. Many people have talked about it in their heading, and that's why it's showing up over here. Salesforce. I've not even talked about features in one of my headings, right? So let's say features is something that I'd really want. It'll go, what can a CRM and marketing system be used for? What features can a CRM and marketing system offer? Right? Like, so it's similar meaning. It's changing the construction of your H2 and align it with the content that you already have present, but inserting that keyword in it. And you can accept, and it will insert this automatically, and we can refresh again, and you can see my score climbing up again, right? So this is how this will work. Let me minimize this. All right. So, okay. It also generated an extended outline. So the purpose of this extension in outline automation is that we don't want to disrupt the flow of what you've already written, right? Like, so if things were written by a subject matter expert, right? You don't want to be meddling with the content that they've written already. You might want to build upon it with changing as little as possible into their content to make sure that you don't have to rewrite the entire thing again. You can send that chunk of piece that you rewrote it and add it in for faster approvals, right? Instead of going through and reviewing the entire content one more time. So what this does is that it'll keep the outline and it'll try and figure out what can be added that you're missing from your competing web pages that can elevate some of the things that we're not doing, right? So it's suggesting some frequently asked questions. And obviously, right, like you can delete some of these things if you don't like, you can edit it. And then you can go ahead and accept it. I'm not going to accept it because once I accept it, it's going to start writing all of these sections which are missing into your content. And you can easily readjust this, copy pasting it and moving it in your content wherever you feel like it once they're written, or just take the suggestions and write them yourself. Whatever, it's up to you, but it's easier to understand what can be added to add more value, given the title, given what your competitors have written about, and given what you have written about, right? Like that's a lot of figuring it out to do. Okay, all right. Let's go to common terms, which is my favorite as of right now. So not only in common terms, it's super easy to understand which ones you need to use more, which ones are used appropriately, and which ones you've not used, right? Extremely simple. There's also an AI tool over here, which we'll look at it in a second. But what I want to really show is that let's say you're writing about 10 features of active CRM platform. And what you want to do is you want to see how comprehensively have you covered something around, let's say, HubSpot or Pipedrive. Pipedrive is one of the CRMs, right? And a lot of people have written about it. That's why we've mentioned Pipedrive over here. And we want to kind of find out what everyone has talked about Pipedrive, right? How do you do that? Well, you click on it and you can see that it says tap the keyword for related keywords, right? So what it did now is that it narrowed it down to everything that people have talked about around the word Pipedrive. In same section, in same paragraph, from across different platforms. So you can now understand when it comes to Pipedrive, I want to talk about email marketing, analytics, apps, might be comparing with Active Campaign, sales CRM, workflows, template segmentation, email integration, and pipeline management, maybe even Salesforce integration, or comparing it with Salesforce and marketing automation. So there's some clear signs that you can see which keywords you want to include. The best part when you run auto optimization, you don't have to figure out which keyword I need to include. Auto optimization will figure out which is the best keyword to include first to ensure that you meet the requirements of some of these other things. So it's quite clever in getting that in auto optimization, but this is for individual optimization. If you see certain things that you want to improve, and where did it go? Okay, so it just automatically inserted this. But all right, so finally, there's an automated workflow. There are tasks that triggered by event that marketing CRM lets you set up. Finally, there is automated workflow for pipeline management. These are the tasks that triggered by event that marketing CRM lets you set up. Very, very, very clever. it's not just randomly finding a sentence and inserting it in. It's finding similarity between what you want to insert and what content already exists, along with other keywords that are in the same group. So you have very specific targeting, the right amount of density around the right amount of keywords or the section that you've written around, which makes it super easy for you to optimize no matter how far, I mean, no matter which keyword you're optimizing it for. It's possible when your content score, when you probably, your target is 3,419 and you've only written 500 words, then before you come here, you might want to extend your outline, write more content before you come here and do this. So that's one of the limitations that you need to understand. But that's why it's here and not above heading. So make sure if you are doing any auto optimization, you follow the steps and you optimize as you go along instead of just going around with this. So, okay, all right. So this is pretty cool. Let's go to originality. All right, so originality graph here, and you can see this is your originality. Most of the people have higher originality scores. And if I was to write it, originality matters even more now than it did before. And originality is just not about talking a new CRM or just talking about some terms that you might have not used again and again. But in real sense, you're talking about, let's say, top 10 CRMs, and you're talking about active campaign, and you want, and nobody has mentioned sort of its comparison with Pipedrive. What you can do is you can grab a screenshot or you can grab a customer testimony from one of the review sites and paste it over here. Now, all of a sudden, you have so much unique content, right? That you can then link and give a source out to. Even if you just include an image, you're going to have to write a sentence or two above and beyond, right? That adds tons of unique information to your site, to your content already. And this is super, super, super important on how to do this. So let's go down. And I want to see here. So MailChimp, best free CRM for marketing. Let's explore. And there might be some issue here. Yeah, so it's still staging, right? But you can explore and you can find out exactly concrete ideas that you can use to adjust in your content and make it better. Okay, images, pretty similar. Same thing, number of images you can check. It's not much you can do with images. Internal linking, let's close the sitemap out. Still some small issues over here, but all right. So best internal linkings. All right, let's see. Suggestions. All right, so what it can do is it can sort of figure out, it can figure out which keyword you're ranking for if you have connected your strategist with it. If you already have a ranking URL that ranks for certain keywords in certain positions, it can automatically recommend that keyword placement and the link where you need to place it. So accept it, and you have marketing tools adjusted into it and a tick mark over here. So pretty much everything that you were optimizing up till right now can be ideated or can be executed in terms of automation to insert it automatically into your content. Okay, we're seeing external links over here. That's pretty fine. And now what happened to all the other parameters, right? Like plagiarism checker and all of that are in under see more. This videos, list items, tables, statistics, and plagiarism is not mostly used every time, and it depends on the writing style and kind of optimization that you're doing. So reduce complexity, we put them under see more that you can expand and check later on. The prompts writing is still here. It's visible from everywhere now, and you can still go and do the prompt writing that you were doing before. So nothing changes over there either. Now, let me go back to optimize. And now I'm going to click on auto optimize. All right. Now, auto optimize, still, we're not there where you can just close your eyes and totally run it wild and get on with it. But this can speed up figuring out of what you need to optimize, whether you need to optimize, whether it's a good idea or not, and all of that in a very systematic manner. So what I can optimize now is, let's say I want to just optimize my common terms. There we go. So it starts the wizard and it will tell you which keyword, where you need to optimize. You can start accepting it, and it will generate some more suggestions that you can start accepting in and adding it in. And once you are done, it will show, like, so there's 132 keywords that you need to optimize. This content is not that great either. So I certainly picked that content which isn't great. And now just keep clicking accept or discard, and it will keep moving and inserting things into your content till it's all done. In future, we are planning to make a 30-second automated run, so you can go fetch a coffee and you can go and get it. So you can do undo, but again, right, like, so every section is one by one, and that's for a reason. So there is always undo and redo over here. Plus, everything is recorded into the history to the second. So you can go back to the history and undo some of the changes as well, or between a certain time frame. But we don't want to overly complicate things over here, right? Like, because you're going one section after the time, one after the other, there's very little chances of you messing it up. And there's obviously discard that you can do when you're done. So that's pretty much it over here. Right. And then just you can update your existing content onto WordPress. Okay. I did cover a lot of things. And I want to give it a pause here at the optimization and see what you guys think. This updates will roll out on Friday night. It's a very extensive update, and we have to update a lot of template libraries and things like that onto the platform. So there's an extended time of downtime, and so we don't want to do it in the middle of the week. We'll release this out on Friday after we show the internal link improvements for your content and how well, what sort of impact it can bring right away. That is the second part, which I'm like super excited, because you will see improvements in your ranking, impressions, clicks, almost within a couple of weeks, right? So that's something that you can like very fast measure this thing very, 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 very fast. So I'm excited to be sharing that. Now, I had kept this 35 minutes. We're right about there. And I can take any questions you guys have. Just drop it in, either in the chat or in the QA. I see there's two questions in the QA. Will you send out the recording so I can rewatch on my larger PC rather than a mobile I'm on? Yes, absolutely. There's two webinars that are being posted today on YouTube. One is on EEAT that we did last week, and this webinar that we're going to be hosting it currently. Don't go look out for this changes on live just yet, but they will roll out definitely on Friday. Okay, just 1 second. Is this recording to review again? Yes, absolutely. Can you show me exactly where we edit the prompts? Ellison, absolutely. And just give me a second. Someone has raised a hand here. So let me show you. Go to writing tools. Now, since you're writing a prompt based, right? So here is an icon that takes you back to the first draft utility. We want people to go through this process, like set up a really great template that works for you, and then you keep using that. But when it comes to prompt writing, which I still do for quite a few sections, which I want to complexly develop, I click on generate prompts, and it will generate prompts instead of doing the first draft. So now the result of this breakdown is that when you do first draft, it's going to consume about 25% less characters than it was doing it before. Because we've removed the prompt engineering. We've taken the prompt as part of the training data. But if you go through prompt, the consumption will be slightly higher because now we're considering prompt of each section as we write those sections. So it's a little added, about 25% of it, right? But the process, you should still be able to manage both the processes at the same time. And there we go. We have prompts that you can edit, and then you can go back to a first draft and generate the first draft, or you can write one section at a time. They'll work seamlessly just the way they were working before. Okay, just reading Allison's question here. Specific briefs to write to for my clients. So that's, if you have specific briefs that you use to write for your clients, I would say I did that into a style guide, implement it, and then run one section at a time without any prompts. Just delete the prompt and write one section at a time till you get the consistency that you want, right? So you're not wasting your characters on writing so many drafts or whatever. But you can have that style guide, and then you can write one section at a time. And once you get that perfection of the kind of structure you want to lay out your content in, then you can replicate it. Then you can just run first draft again and again by selecting the template. Okay, all right. Denny, I'm trying to understand the question or the comment, especially prompts mixed with auto insert. Trying to understand if that's a question or a comment. Category product description for e-commerce. Okay, could you please show this with category product description for e-commerce? It's super easy for you to make this. Let's say I am, and it's probably not best suited for this particular keyword. Let's go back here. I'll edit my stuff and you will see what I do. So sarcastic yet funny personality. Let's go ahead and edit this. And I've just added 4. Not very complicated, easy to use, right? So let's say if how to answer, this is all that I need to change. Or all that I need to change is this 2 things, and this can be dynamic based on the client that you're writing for or however you're writing, right? So let's say I'm writing about an e-commerce product. And the way I build out my product is by writing features. And I always include 10 features along with the obvious benefits that come from it. And then I write, so there's 2 sections right there. And then you write maybe some FAQs around it, right? So FAQs is a separate section altogether, which Outranking is going to write when it builds out. So what you want to give is instructions for how to write your FAQs and how to write your product descriptions, how to write your product features, and how to write product benefits. Easy as that. So what I will say is how to answer. $350 characters. Let's see here. Benefits followed by 10 features of the product, and lastly 5 benefits with benefit. And this is a sample, right? Like this is like a very general thing that I would write here, and you can obviously mix this with your tone and stuff like that. Now I would say how to the cues. 350 characters or less. Perfect. All right. So simple as that. Like I've just added 4, and you can then save it, right? Let's select this sarcastic yet funny. Okay. All right. So it sort of wrote some of my other placeholders over here, and then you can go from there, right? Let's see. Yep, 350 characters or less, answering straight to the point. Product descriptions need to be 350 characters, mentioning the obvious benefits, followed by 10 features of product, and lastly, 5 benefits with explanation. Now, every time you write anything about the product, selecting this template, it's going to write out exactly this format. And that's how you personalize. There we go. All right. So feature suggestion. Kevin is suggesting a feature ability to auto insert AI images like Midjourney. Tell the system which type of images that you want, etc. Clip art, realistic. We have a image library in our roadmap. Just going slow with it. We've noticed that tons of topics which have stock images and images which are not engaging of any sort, right? Like it's not making people stop and look at them and increasing on page time. They aren't really that efficient in ranking content. I would rather source a meme or a GIF or a screenshot of something actual and then do it. And Outranking is leaning towards quality content. We want to help you rank, right? Like not crunch only tons and tons of content. So it's part of it. We've pushed it down our roadmap, but it's still on our roadmap to include image library. I think it would be a cool feature for some of the use cases. Okay. All right. Oh, so there we go. There was a raise hand. Allowed to talk. Hey Rob, I allowed you to talk. Uh, asked to unmute. I think you have to unmute in order to talk. Okay, maybe you pressed it by mistake. All right, sounds good. Any more question, guys? Drop it in. Any suggestions, feedback? What do you think? Would greatly help. Just drop it all in the chat. These enhancements are going live on Friday night, and probably with the 3 hour of downtime into Saturday. Okay, all right. Any additional questions here, guys? All right. Tons of people asking for replay links. The replay will be available right after this event. So just watch out for that. And that's about it, actually. Yes. Most importantly, don't miss out the Thursday's webinar. This internal linking and publishing it automatically onto WordPress with one clicks of approve, disapprove is going to be a game changer. The way, I mean, it can understand your Google Search Console data and suggest some pretty clever things that can be then automated to push live. So I'm super excited. Don't miss out the webinar on Thursday. And Sapan is going to share the link shortly below that can be used. Our webinar roster has been updated. We're doing new webinars every week on a different theme. So make sure you sign up to whatever interests you, or if all of them interest you and you are after ranking content. Right. For landing pages. Landing pages. I sort of missed this out, missed out this enhancement for you guys to kind of see, but it can actually now understand the type of title you have. So what other pages are doing, and it can build out an outline based on the kind of page you are trying to write automatically. This feature wasn't present before. And you will see when it rolls out that it can automatically pick an informative page, right? So I'm writing copywriting for B2B product and it picked out informative. Now let's go ahead and see some writing tools here. And I'm writing best CRMs for email marketing. See, list of best products. It will pick out automatically the kind of outline that you need to be building in. And there is service pages, local pages. There are so many other kinds of pages it can pick out automatically and build your outlines, particularly in that way from the very start. If you'd like to nudge it towards certain things, affiliate pages, pretty much anything that you want to do, even if we don't have it and you want to nudge it towards that, that's sort of an outline. What you can simply do is just add that into your title and then delete it later on. So you can say service page, landing page, and it can do that automatically. But for I believe it can recognize up to 9 formats, most of which is like comparisons, and the most obvious types, right? So if you feel like you want to nudge it towards affiliate page, just add the word affiliate pages or the exact type of page that you're writing it for in brackets at the end of your title, and it should be able to do this automatically. But for most of the long form content use cases, web page content use cases, it should be able to just pick automatically. E-commerce pages is a tricky one. Yes, it can do that. Category or product, not category pages, right? Like that's a collation of lots of products. So you just need to write a description. I would use some quick LLM tool to kind of write the description for that. But this is a little different. And yeah, I mean, this is for long form websites where we're writing landing pages, anything, landing pages, anything that's going to attract leads, right? Or bring traffic to your site. Category product pages, they're hard to rank, and you know what happened. Very few search terms and things like of that nature. Very a little flexibility in what you can write and how you can write if you're working with certain CRMs, certain CMSs. So it's totally up to you. We do have something in a roadmap for outlines and allowing you to maybe add your custom data so that it can use that type of outlines every time you're creating that kind of content. But that will probably roll out next month. Okay. Right. And for people who are still contemplating on getting on board, we will be changing our pricing structure again, right? Like if it's startup, we're experimenting, we're testing things out. We'll be separating our AI writing features with optimization features. I think outranking optimization is super powerful. It does a lot more things than most of the competitors out there in terms of automation. And the kind of quality that you can expect now is tenfold. So we're going to break it out, and pricing is going to change. So what we currently have is still a deal breaker right now. Like it's heavily discounted, and it will align with a little different pricing structure going on in Friday. All right. If no further questions, we can call it a day. We're about at the end of the hour. And just a quick note, Rob, I tried allowing you to talk, but I think you pressed it by mistake, so you were still uh, on mute. Anyways, all right. If no further questions, we'll see you guys on Thursday, and we'll go over the remaining part of changes. There is one more question, I feel. Sounds good. All right. Great stuff, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. And oh yes, classic. Yes, yes. Absolutely. All the features are available to everyone who's using the platform. It will use some AI characters for automatic optimization and stuff like that. But yes, everything's available for everyone. There's no restriction. We're not doing any of those changes. So you should have access to all the things that we build new. And I can't wait for you guys to start working with this and cranking some of this things out. Sounds good. Thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you on Thursday. See you guys.